All right, friends and neighbors, time for another networking video. This time we're going to do a quick OSPF build so that you have a configuration, sort of available to you. And for that, I'm going to need some routers. So we'll pull up our friends here. We're not going to get too crazy. But what I want to say is that when you're building OSPF, we have this concept of areas and an autonomous system. So right now, everything that you see on the screen is going to be part of my autonomous system. And when I start to interconnect, when I start to interconnect things, I'm not only creating networks, but I'm also creating areas. So that's the idea. And maybe what I'll do is we'll just extend just a little bit, so that it's really clear that that areas and networks are not the same thing. Okay, areas can be sort of one or more network. So that's what we sort of have to remember. So I'm just interconnecting all of these guys, and then we'll turn on OSPF, and we'll find out that to get any routing protocol running, it's really not all that challenging. The base configuration, understanding what in the world is going on, and then being able to troubleshoot it, well, that's a whole different animal. So we'll connect these guys here. So this will be just about the entire topology. And then just for fun, to make sure it works, we will we'll add a couple of PCs just sort of hanging off the end here. No VLANs, nothing fancy this time. We're just going to do the layer 3 routing thing. Okay, so maybe what we'll do is add some labels. So we'll make this the 192, 168. Oh, let's do something different this time. We'll do 172.16.00 network. Up here we'll have the 172.17. I get so bored sometimes working with 192s. Whoops, 172. See, it's Freudian now. Make this 18. 172.19. Just for fun, I'm using this space because it also is part of the private address space. So you can fool around with this to your heart's content and not really bother anybody. Okay, so there's my networks. Looks like we got a bunch here. And I will also say that sort of right here in the middle, I'm going to make this my area 0. Now we'll find out that area 0 is an important area. And just for fun, because we're all geeks here, right? Area 51 and area 52, the lesser known alien area. Okay. So now that we have our addressing, it becomes pretty easy to build our routers from this. And the important thing is that there'll be no static routes here. So the routers are going to find out where everything is all by themselves, because we're going to use a routing protocol. So I'm going to say that we've got interface. Hopefully I remember my standard addressing here. Let's do a no shut to make sure that I'm talking to the right one. Oh dear. Without switches, I don't have the auto. Let's do int of 0. This should be 0/1. Oops. Int of 0/1. Let's do a no shut here. There we go. All right. So this will be 18. So we'll do 253s and 254s throughout. So IP address 172.18.0.253. 255. We're going to use some /16s here. And then we'll go to int of 0/0. And that'll be IP address 172.17.0.254. Now, as you can see, a lot of this is just the minutia of getting this set up, right? So now we'll do over here. So that was the 18 0 slash 1 now. I guess we can do this. No, we can't. IP address 172. So this will be the 19 network, and this is where I'm going to build my area 0. Now, since this is the first router, maybe I'll bring up my neighbor here. So int int f0/0, no shut. Oh dear. So we on? No, it should be all right. Maybe I just didn't bring it up on the other side. Anyway, IP address 172.19.02.54, if I'm remembering my convention properly. And we did a no shut, so I don't know if I did my no shut over here. There we go. Okay, so I'm sitting right here, on router 0, right? And this router is it sits astride 2 areas. So when we do your routing configuration or your routing protocol configuration, a lot of Cisco routers, the first place a lot of times that we start is router OSPF or router RIP or something like that, and then we're going to give it a process ID. Process ID of 1 works for me. We're going to do a version 2 here. Whoops, let's do this first. Let's do our networks. So my network 172.19.0.0. Now OSPF uses the masks rather than, or uses what we call wildcard masks. And there's sort of the opposite of subnet masks. Now if we look here, we need something else to finish this part of the configuration. And so what I'm going to do is specify that you are part of area 0. Now there's 2 formats you can put the area. I can just write it that way, or I could write it in the dotted quad notation. And we're also going to do area 18, or network 18, but this was going to be part of area 51, I think I said, yeah. Okay. Now we got a lot of other stuff that we could do with the particular interfaces here, and I am not going to worry about this. By default, we should be doing version 2. That's where I was going to, but I don't think we have to worry about that here. All right, so now let's go. We'll keep going with our backbone routers. Area 0 is also called our backbone, and so we'll give ourselves a little more real estate here. And exit this, and we'll say router OSPF 1 network. And this part of the configuration will be very similar to what we just did. Oops. Now notice that the address space specified by the wildcard mask looks a lot like the address space that we were using for subnetting, but as I said, it's kind of reversed. The wildcard masks are a little bit different, and I did a whole thing on wildcard masks in another video. So if you want to do that, you can. Now we'll keep going here. I'll put this over here so you can see what's going on as we bring interfaces up. So, 0/0, no shut. Now notice that I've really done sort of 2 things so far. Let me do, I have just said, I'm a little worried that I flopped my interfaces. All right, so that is, okay. we're just giving IP addresses to interfaces, and then I configure a routing protocol. That's it. So, let's make sure. I just get worried about my interfaces and make sure that I don't have to go back and fix anything. All right, so we're going to do this one a little bit backwards. IP address 172.21.0.0. Oops. We'll do, I think I did a no shut, right? And that's not going to work. Why didn't you guys tell me that? That's not going to work. There we go. Let's see. We're going to do 0 now, and this one is going to be on the 20 network. And hopefully I am remembering the IP addresses that I used. Alright, so this is 23. I may have to remember that. I may have to, you know, try to remember which end is 253 and which end is 254. So now let's do our router OSPF. And if you were wondering, the router processes that I picked one on everybody. You do not have to do that. They have nothing to do with each other. Now notice also that I'm about to say that both of these guys are part of the same area, and that is kind of the point. Remember that an area is comprised of multiple, or can be comprised of multiple networks. So there's only one network that's actually part of my backbone network. Okay. And it looks like I didn't no shut an interface here. Intel 0/0. No shut. There we go. Forgot somebody. Okay. And now we got to do this guy way over here. That shouldn't take us too long. Router 4, you're on the 17 net, so let's go to that should be 0 like this. No shut. Hey, we got the right one. Okay, IP address 172.17.0. What should it be? 253. I think that was. And let's go to 01. And you should be 16. We'll make it 254 just to like that. And we'll do router. Whoa. Router OS. OSPF. Now, both of these networks now will be part of area 51. Now what's happening as I do this is that the routers, as I bring the interfaces up and tell them about the networks that they're supposed to be advertising, what's happening is that the routers are exchanging information. So let's see if we can do this. Debug Ospf. See what kind of options we have here. Debug IP Ospf. And we'll just do events. There we go. Alright, we'll see. We got to sort of put this off to the side here. We'll see. But I'm going to go back to my routers that theoretically have been talking for a little while. And let's take a look at the routing tables. Oh dear. So we got to make sure that everybody's talking. Ping 172.16. Whoops. We're way over here on the 20 network, right? 0. If you can't hit your neighbors, then you are not going to be able to. I may have given two guys the same IP address. So this is router 2. And that's what I was worried about earlier. So you are 253 on this side. So I should make a note here. 253, And let's see what we got going on this particular router. Well, I suppose it would help if I gave it an IP address to begin with. And let's see, is that router 1? Boy, I am way off on my routers here. This is not even the correct addresses. So what we're going to have to do is fix this. So let's go config T. I really don't know how I made that mistake, but that's okay. Let's go to int have 0/0. We'll say no IP address. And now we'll say IP address. So this is F0/0. Theoretically, it should be on the 19 network. 172.19.0. I'm gonna. This will be fun. I'll probably screw this up all the way across the board, but we'll see what happens. No shut. And 1. Now we want you to be 20.254. There we go. No shut. No shirt. And let's also take a look at our OSPF statements too, just to make sure. Well, we did the right OSPF statement, so that's good. And so I made this. I think I just made U253, U254. Let's make sure that we know what's going on here. So we got some good duplicate address. That's going to be a problem. Yep. All right. So I got to fix that. Just part of troubleshooting, just part of routing. So IP address 172.19.0.254, I think is what we need it to be. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's see if we're beginning to learn here a little bit. Providing, of course, I can get the rest of my IP addresses okay. Alright, that's good news. We just reloaded, so we'll do a show IP route. There we go. That's getting there. So what we're seeing here is that we have an OSPF route that we learned, so now we're learning about the 19, 20, and 21. Of course, 20 and 21 we were already directly connected to. And we've learned from our neighbor 20.254 about this other network. Now, as the routes begin to get populated, we will slowly but surely learn about everybody else's. So we're reloading here. Show IP route. We got somebody that's not up here. We'll just quickly run through everybody. So that was 0.1, so no shut. And we'll quickly check the configuration here. No, I didn't give it an IP address at all. So this is router 0 right there. I guess I never got a little excited in my configuration here. So 19.254 we need. Let's see. So we got an 18.253 there. I think that's right. Yep, 18.253. Okay. So we need an 18.254 here. And that should get us really close. And if it doesn't, you get the idea. IP address 172.18.0.254. just for fun, we'll see if we can ping our neighbor. There we go. All right. So they should start talking with each other. Now, if OSPF sort of quits talking on you, so this is router 3, then what you can do is you can reload the OSPF process, or you can clear it and get things talking again. So this is 254. And this video is starting to get a little long, so I'm going to probably... Oh, we got an election here and everything. Probably call it quits before too long here. I didn't realize how long we're starting to get. 17253. Okay, good. And ping 172.17.0.254. That'll be our neighbor. There we go. Alright, so I think what we're waiting for here is a little bit of packet tracer to help us out. There we go, and now we're starting to learn some routes. Alright, just takes a little while. Alright, and I think what we'll do is stop right here, because what we want to do is, you know, we're seeing here that we've got OSPF routes being propagated throughout the topology, and eventually all the routers would pick them up. But as you saw, all that we did at this point was give IP addresses to the interfaces, and then we turned on the routing protocol. And in this particular case, this router has learned 4 out of 5, and with a couple of more messages, we would have learned the rest. We'll give it a quick check before we... And as you saw, I had a couple of oopses in my configuration. But that's pretty much it. That's what you're trying to do as you configure OSPF. All right? Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And may your packets always reach their destinations.